Happy Valentine's Day, loners, and today I'm going to be talking about Baker Mayfield. Now, there's some things you're going to absolutely love about Baker Mayfield, but there's some things you're just going to absolutely hate about him. And when it comes to it all, Mayfield is definitely one of these guys where he definitely could be a franchise quarterback where you'd be like, oh, wow, like any team should draft him. But then there's some aspects of him you're just like, no, stay away from my team, stay away from my team. And when it comes to it all, I definitely look at him on and off the field, and there's things that I really like about him, and there's some things that I really don't like about him. Now, to start off with some of the things on the field that I like about him is his footwork. Footwork is definitely very important, especially when you're getting pressure at the NFL level. Definitely the best teams in the NFL will get pressure onto the quarterback usually. And when it comes to that all, your offensive line isn't always going to be reliable. If you have good footwork, you can possibly kind of move around, maybe make the defensive lineman kind of go into another offensive lineman by accident, just seeing where you go and whatnot. Just having that footwork down kind of just helps you just move around a little bit. And it helps just to move around a little bit when you're in the NFL level. Also, he can throw dimes. Every now and then you see these throws, you're like, wow, he just made a really, really nice throw where he got there. And honestly, I am impressed by it. And at times I'm like, wow, okay, like this is some real like NFL throws right here, like NFL caliber. And then he can also have some pretty good improvisation skills. He's definitely an instinctual player. Sometimes with quarterbacks you like tactical, but instinctual can work too because at times a play's going to break down and you just got to rely on your instincts. Sometimes I'm like, hey, you don't really have much but your instincts right there. So that's what you got to do. And not only that, he looks off the safety, something that's so important in quarterbacks. You can't just stare down one wide receiver, which Robert Griffin III did way too much. Way too much. You got to be able to look around. Baker Mayfield at least looks around, and that's definitely a positive right there. Because some quarterbacks who get drafted extremely high don't even look around, and it's absolutely ridiculous that they don't even do that. But Baker Mayfield does that. And not only that, I definitely think his accuracy on short to medium throws, top notch. It's top notch throws right here. When you put it all into perspective, I definitely think if he's going to transition to the NFL right away, you want to start him off with the short and medium throws because that's where he's at his best. And not only that, he's tough. He's definitely, I think he's a blue-collar kind of guy and whatnot. And he's tough. He will take the big hits, and he fights too. He's definitely a fighter, and that's something that you really, really are going to like about him on the field. But not everything on the field is just like roses and flowers and whatnot. No, there's definitely some negatives with him. His deep ball accuracy is not that great. Yes, every once in a while he'll throw a dime, but sometimes it seems like he's just throwing these bad deep balls. And sometimes you're like at the NFL level, that's getting picked off. That should get picked off, but ends up being completion somehow just because, well, you're talking about amateur athletes right here. He's playing against amateur defensive backs for the most part. And ideally, when you look at his deep ball, sometimes it just doesn't look good. Like every once in a while, yeah, he'll throw a good deep ball, but sometimes it just doesn't look that great. His interception in the Rose Bowl was absolutely terrible. Oh my God, it felt like 10 feet above the guy's head, and it was right into the safety's lap. You got to be freaking kidding me. His deep ball accuracy is going to need some work right here. And not only that, his throwing motion. And I think everything's good about it except for the hand. And the hand, sometimes quarterbacks, he can really just hold it up high like this. He kind of has this curvature motion where he kind of just really does the flick of the wrist. And obviously, you got to flick the wrist to get the spiral, but he bends it back like this. And I'm thinking to myself, one thing is could he get hurt? Potentially, obviously. I mean, everyone gets hurt at the NFL level, but I'm more concerned about him getting strip sacked. He might get strip sacked a ton in the NFL level. Just having that ball out like that, last thing when you throw. And at times when fumbles usually happen, it's usually when the quarterback's about ready to throw and whatnot. It's not when the quarterback's just a sitting duck. It's usually when he's about to throw, and then the defender comes. That's when the quarterback's like at loose with the ball because he's ready to get rid of it. The defender comes and strips it out. That's definitely a concern I have there with Mayfield. And not only that, arm strength, there's some questions on it. I definitely think he has good arm strength, but he doesn't have the greatest in the world. I know NFL.com is definitely like raving about like, oh, great arm talent. I mean, arm talent's kind of a broad term. However, when it comes to it and all, there's this one deep ball where it was a 40-yard deep ball, so obviously not a short pass. However, he double pumped his leg. So to put that in perspective, he took like kind of like 2 steps or 2 shuffles, whatever you want to say, to throw a 40-yard deep ball. I'm thinking to myself, why do you need to take 2 shuffles to throw a deep ball? Does he do that on all deep balls? No. But I'm not sure if he was tired or fatigued, his arm was fatigued or whatnot, where he had to do the double pump on that situation, or even maybe he was just overcompensating how far the receiver was, and he might have just overthought it. Who knows? But I definitely look at him like, you're double thrusting for a 40-yard deep pass. You shouldn't be doing that. So that was definitely something I was looking at. Like, is he compensating for his arm? Because it just felt weird. It just didn't seem like, it just seemed odd. Like if it was like 70 yards, yeah, I might give him a break. But there's some questions on the steep ball right there. Not only that, at the NFL level, his mobility will not translate. No, he's not going to be a dual threat quarterback. And most quarterbacks who are dual threats in college won't be dual threats in the NFL. And when it comes to it all, he has mobility. I'm not saying he can't scramble. However, if you want to do that read option or inverted option or whatever, triple option, whatever option you want to do, he's not the guy to do it with. His mobility isn't super stellar, where like he is a little bit on the smaller side, so if a defender gets one arm with him, he's gonna go down. And when it comes to it all, players in the NFL are just bigger and faster. They're gonna catch up to him. They're gonna get to him. He can be a scrambler, sure, but is he gonna be able to tuck and run like similar to a Cam Newton or a Colin Kaepernick? Hell no. He's not gonna be able to put it on. And honestly, I definitely think that when it comes to the system at Oklahoma, system really favors him well, but it's not a really advanced system. He's going to be an NFL project for sure. He is. That's definitely something I look at and think to myself, he's probably not going to start in year 1 unless if they're like desperate at quarterback. I just think to myself that you're going to have a veteran ahead of him. He's going to take a couple years to develop. I definitely think. He's not going to guy right out of the blue. He's going to blow you off your wheels. No, he's not that guy. And not only that, I think there's some things about his personality that have some positives too. Competitiveness. Obviously, you could argue him as the most competitive guy out of this draft. If you like competitive quarterbacks, this guy's your guy. Very passionate, extremely passionate about the game. He clearly cares about it. I think he's definitely committed to playing football. He's much more committed than Johnny Manziel and whatnot. But there are also some things about his personality that's a little bit bad. He's also passionate, but he's also emotional. That might not be good for a quarterback. Obviously, when it comes to if he's getting trash talk or something like that, he's got to stay focused. Quarterback is a very complex position. So when it comes to it all, when it comes to doing all the tactical stuff, all the strategic stuff, you gotta be able to stay focused. It's a mental game with some of these quarterbacks. And when it comes to him, if a player gets into his head, he might be more focused on his next your mom joke against the defensive back than he is thinking about the next play call and whatnot. And that might be a big issue right there. And that's the idea about it. And also, he seems kind of like an anxious personality, a little bit too anxious. He doesn't have that calm factor. I think that would really help. That's going to really hurt him in big moments. That anxiety can really build up. It's just the fact that the defensive back got that easily into his head and whatnot. It's a little bit of a concern. And I don't really see too much of a clutch gene in him. The reason why Oklahoma was really into that game was not because of Baker Mayfield. Sure, he made a couple plays here and there early on, but it was really because Oklahoma's running game. Not only that, the defense made plays at the end of the game and whatnot. So I'm really concerned about the clutch gene right there. And when it comes to it, there's some other notes I like to look at. He had academic issues when he was at Texas Tech. So he had academic issues. So that's a little bit of a concern about his intelligence. Now, obviously, I think that the academic issues even play more of a role when he's doing that gesture, when he's grabbing his own crotch. I mean, That's a little bit of an issue right there, grabbing his crotch. It's not smart to do, and then he tops off with academic issues. You don't look like you're drafting Albert Einstein right here. No, if you're drafting him, and also he's a diva. There's some divas in the NFL that play quarterback, like Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, are the two best quarterbacks in the game, and they're both divas, but they're not a diva to this extent at times. I definitely think he's a big diva and whatnot, and he's definitely going to have to cool it down a little bit. He's definitely going to have to be able to mature at the NFL level, and not only that, this is what happened to him. So there's some multiple reasons why he left Texas Tech. Is one of them was because of communication issues with the head coach. I'm like, okay, maybe he wasn't talking about it, but this is a quote from NFL.com. Tech head coach Cliff Kingsbury decided to open up the starting competition, so Mayfield left campus to find a new home. So the job got opened up, so Mayfield left. Did Mayfield not want to compete for his job? It's a little bit of a concern right there. If this guy has competitive quarterbacks, and obviously I think that you need to have quarterback competition. You really do need to have quarterback competition, because if you look at some of the teams that have won the past 5 years, they've had some good backup quarterbacks. And when it comes to this all, like you're gonna have to compete for your job. Mayfield might just want to have the job handed to him. He might be an on-field competitor more than an off-field competitor, it feels like. And it's like, listen, look, if the coach has an open competition, just play through it. Just play through it. Now, that might not be the only reason he probably left Texas Tech. It's probably not the only reason. However, that's a little bit of a concern right there and whatnot. And when it comes to it all, there's some things about him where these side notes where I'm just kind of concerned about what this guy can really be. He's definitely the biggest gamble, or the biggest name that's a gamble right here, because you really don't know. You're either getting a franchise quarterback or you're getting a draft bust. It doesn't feel like you're going to get too much in between, or if you do, it just doesn't going to feel good. Anyway, my quarterback comparisons, I do 3 different quarterbacks right here. All right, worst case scenario, Johnny Manziel. Simple enough. Both undersized quarterbacks. Both had diva personalities in college and whatnot. Both play in kind of interesting style that might not translate right away in the NFL. Johnny Manziel. Doug Flutie, obviously Doug Flutie's another undersized quarterback, but very undersized. Flutie, though, did have some success in the NFL. Definitely an NFL journeyman, though. And then for the last one, Case Keenum. Obviously, Case Keenum had a very good 2017. Maybe he could have a great, maybe like Baker Mayfield might have like a great season here or there, kind of like what Case Keenum did. So those are definitely some quarterback comparisons right here. Now, when it comes to team drafting, because obviously the draft's roughly like 2-3 months away. So when it comes to this all, I don't think he's going to be a first-round pick, but there is going to be, I think, one team in mind that will draft in the first round. That's the Jacksonville Jaguars. I definitely think that would fit him the best, obviously. He's going to a team, obviously, that has a lot of emotion to it. I think the Jaguars play with a lot of emotion. They definitely need a quarterback. I think Doug Marrone would suit Mayfield's personality well, and I think they definitely need a quarterback. He will fit the system well, start him off short throws. And obviously, he wouldn't be the center of the offense. I think they're still going to make it kind of Leonard Fournette's ball and whatnot. I think the Jacksonville Jaguars are the one team that will draft him in the first round. Now, if he drops, because he's expected to be a late first-round pick, if he drops to the second round, he actually might have some more success, because I think the team like the Green Bay Packers will pick him up. Now, I think his favorite quarterback to ever play is Brett Favre. Obviously, he played for the Green Bay Packers. He really like that. He would also learn from Aaron Rodgers and whatnot. And when it comes to Green Bay has good quarterback coaching, so that's definitely a plus. And they will tolerate oddballs at quarterback. Now, obviously, a lot of people say, well, Brett Favre, yeah, he was an oddball. He definitely had a very, very fun personality, but he definitely had kind of a huge ego. Baker Mayfield might have a huge ego. Same with Aaron Rodgers. People think Aaron Rodgers is very, very arrogant. I definitely think they might take a gamble on Mayfield. Now, I do like Brett Hundley. I do like what Brett Hundley brings to the table. But if you look at how they think, I think Brett Hundley might have a year left on his contract. They might let him walk after one more season or something like that. And then if you look at it, Aaron Rodgers was drafted in 2005. Brett Favre was in his like 13th year or 14th year when the time they drafted him. Aaron Rodgers is currently in his 13th or 14th year. Maybe they'll draft a quarterback high. Maybe, who knows? They might be fed up with a little bit of Aaron Rodgers and whatnot. So I think Green Bay could be the best team for him. Now, there are some rumors that he might go to like the New England Patriots. Listen, look, if he goes to the Patriots, that's great for him, but I don't think Bill Belichick wants a quarterback who might be dumb and too anxious and all that, too much of a personality. I don't think Bill Belichick would want that, even though he might fit what they're doing well when it comes to what he brings to the table on the field. It's just his personality might be not something Bill Belichick really, really kind of wants there. And when it comes to that, I also think the Giants might be into a market for a quarterback. Obviously, they might draft Josh Rosen very high, but let's just say they want to draft an offensive lineman or trade down and draft an offensive lineman if they're not big on Rosen. Even though I think Rosen is, well, I think it's very, very promising. But to put this in perspective, Mayfield with the Giants, I don't think they'll bring in another big personality in the locker room, especially at quarterback. And I definitely think that there's some rumors that Seattle might go after. I don't know. I'm just hearing rumors and whatnot. These are just some things where like if Russell Wilson gets traded or something, because he's in this last year's contract, yada yada yada. Mayfield with Carroll, I just don't see fitting. Too much emotion right there. Pete Carroll, very passionate, very motivational. Baker Mayfield will just be all over the place there. You'll just be too much, just too much. I just don't think he'll fit. I think his best fit for a team that will draft him in the first round would be the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think his best team that could draft him if he falls would be the Green Bay Packers. And obviously, I think he's better off being on the Packers than he is with the Jacksonville Jaguars. All that, even though he'll be drafted higher if he gets drafted by the Jaguars. But what do you guys think? Leave your comments down below. Do you love Mayfield? Do you hate him? Share your thoughts down below. See you guys next time. Peace.